will be addressing India's soft power status in the post-COVID era and in the Indo-Pacific region. First of all, I have included my abstract in here. So basically, I will be assessing the soft power of India by comparing its elements before the pandemic and also after the pandemic, like the new tools that the Modi government incorporated during the pandemic, and also how the tools impacted India's soft power projection especially in the Indo-Pacific region. So starting with the introduction, soft power, the definition of soft power is the ability to influence others through attraction rather than force or like a coercion. And also there is an increasing importance in the utilization of soft power in the global power competition. And since the pandemic, global powers use vaccine diplomacy as well as health diplomacy to promote global inoculation and advance their geopolitical goals. And the vaccine-producing countries, mainly the major powers of the world, gain much soft power through providing vaccines, including prestige, goodwill, indebtedness, and all from the receiving countries. And vaccine diplomacy, in definition, is the use of vaccines to strengthen a country's diplomatic ties with other governments. And it is a diplomacy that has been used since a long time back. And in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, it was popularized. So India's background on this topic would be that India also participated in providing aid and support, and mainly the vaccines, to the neighboring countries during the pandemic. And it was seen as a soft power diplomacy from India to improve its relations with the countries, especially the neighboring countries. And India also enjoys its abundance in all of the three sources of soft power that was defined by Joseph Nye, which are culture, political values, and foreign policy. So let us dive into the research questions of my paper. So in this paper, I plan to see to what extent India's soft power has been impacted, whether it has been enhanced or diminished during the COVID-19 pandemic in the Indo-Pacific region. And also I would assess how has India's assistance to its neighbors during the COVID pandemic affect its soft power. And lastly, I will identify the internal challenges primarily linked to India's soft power during and after the COVID-19 pandemic. So the significance of this research will be that the findings will help us to understand the possible challenges and the internal gaps that arose during the pandemic in India, which could have potentially hindered the projection of soft power of India during the COVID-19 pandemic. And conclusively, I will assess those restraints. Assessing those restraints will help us prevent and overcome similar drawbacks in the future related to India's foreign policy. So a little theoretical framework here. I use Joseph Nye's concept of soft power, which is the ability to affect others or to obtain the outcomes that one wants through attraction and persuasion rather than coercion or payment. And the tools of soft power generally encompasses several specific fields such as media, culture, art, science, sports, and education. And the soft power of a country primarily rests on three main sources: its culture, its political values, and its foreign policy. Public diplomacy is also used by most of the countries to promote countries' soft power. And smart power, as we might have heard, is a combination of hard power and soft power, and it is a very necessary and a strategic tool for countries to achieve their foreign policy rather than only focusing on hard power or soft power. So the combination of both forms smart power, which is quite useful. And the concept of soft power in India has been dated since its historical linkage and cultural linkage with especially the Southeast Asian countries. So India enjoys its abundance in rich historical and cultural heritage. Also, India is praised for their democratic ideals, and largely a very important tool of India's soft power would be an extensive diaspora in the world. And India's foreign policy emphasizes its image of pluralist diversity and tolerant secularism. And since Prime Minister Narendra Modi came to office, he has placed a strong emphasis on soft power and making it one of the five pillars of his foreign policy. And since 1947, India has also employed cultural diplomacy as a soft power strategy. But since 2014, the diplomacy has only came to a big forceful effect. So India's soft power sources from before the pandemic, assessing the elements of soft power, we find this five major sources of soft power that India enjoys. It's Indian diaspora, which is a